Okay. Suddenly, everything at the last second gives me technical problems. Go the fuck away. Go the fuck away. Go the fuck away. Ah! Celtic King. Well, you should probably calm down, quite honestly. Right. I'm going to try, even though sending Aidsy the link just made everything shit itself on my laptop. I'm going to try again. And he may or may not join us later. He wants to, but he's got stuff happening. So we shall see what happens. That is, I was eating just before. I'm gonna wash it down with some lemonade. Yum. I added to some lemonade the milk clarified oleosaccharum fruit juice mix that I made recently, and it's yummy. Hello, Shannon. How are you? Celtic King. I'm just gotta say that shtick wears thin really quick. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. Good evening, one and all, as we go into another week of live streams. Who knows what the week ahead holds? I mean, so far, it's held ridiculous celebrity chef Pete Evans outing himself as a Nazi, which was fucking hilarious. That guy's just disconnected from reality. The fact that he's so far gone that he didn't realize actively advocating with neo-Nazi symbology is a bit of a career ender. Oh god, musical aviator had to re-register a car. Yeah, that's usually a pretty big hit to the budget. So I empathize. I'm waiting to get a letter from the tax department because I owe them money. Which but the nicest thing about it is they're not demanding it all at once. I'm not sure how much I still owe them because I have been paying them off, but sometime soon. I was just realizing today I'm a little due to get another reminder from the tax department saying this is how much you owe us, so fix it. Rodney reviews things. Yes, it's probably just a big misunderstanding. I assume you are talking about Pete Evans and his active advocating for Nazism with a symbol favored by the Christchurch killer. Yes, Shannon, he was fined over $250,000. No, sorry, not 250, 25,000. That's really weird, getting a zero wrong in your head. I can imagine typing it wrong, but I actually said it wrong. He was fined over $25,000 for completely false claims of this stupid fucking light that he said would magically cure or protect you from COVID. Just such an obvious lie, stupidly obvious lie. But that's the thing, he's so detached from reality. He couldn't tell that that's a thing you cannot get away with. Then he couldn't tell that publicly advocating Nazism is a bit of a career ender. So yeah, he's not with it upstairs. I mean, it used to just be that he preached absolute bullshit scam stuff about diet and selling, ridiculous, wellness stuff, and which again, now you look at him, I think he's managed to convince himself he's coming up with stuff for which, at best, yes, Annette, we are talking about Pete Evans, stuff that at best there is no evidence whatsoever to support, and more often there is overwhelming evidence that what he's saying is complete bullshit. I feel like he's that sort of type who has slowly detached himself from reality. So he started believing his own lies, even though he knew they were lies when he made them up in the first place. He knew there was nothing to support the stuff he was saying. And then it just became this internal feedback cycle of, I am the tortured prophet. I'm the voice in the wilderness. The more they tell me I'm a fucking moron, the more I'm sure that I'm right. And so, yeah, he just went from all these wellness bullshit and pushing paleo. Like, yes, if you want to be healthy, why not follow the diet of a human ancestor that had a life expectancy of about 30 years? Because clearly they had the health thing all over us. It's just like, and then he recommended it for Shannon, don't ask if you can ask a question. That's a question. Ask the question. I'm always open to questions. People don't always necessarily like my answers, but I'm always open to questions. So he went and tried to do paleo for babies. He's going to have a book published, and with diet books, responsible publishers run them by doctors, dietitians, physicians, and say, is this all okay? And there was this one telling mothers not to breastfeed, huge red flag right there, and then say, give them this bone broth instead because it's paleo, so it's good. And the doctors looked at what was in the bone broth and what there would be concentrations of there, and they went, holy fuck, this would literally kill babies. You cannot publish this book. This advice of his would literally kill babies. So that never got published. Oh, that's in theory a good idea, Grasshopper. Do a stream, Angry Bunch playing Among Us. Okay, possible downfalls is I don't have the game. I don't know how to play it. And I am aware that the makers of Among Us have been real dickholes about copyright to people on Twitch as well. Open to it as a concept. I'd have to explore what that would actually mean. Celtic King, you watched a Shahatma Townsend video. Okay, and now they'll probably be more depressed because I don't remember who they are. Sorry, lots and lots of people come and go out of the streams, but it's not good. Depression is a real issue, and I hope they get some appropriate support and treatment, which of course varies from person to person. Grasshopper, absolutely worth looking into. Something of being able to play a game on a live stream is absolutely worth looking into. It's just, yeah, there are a couple things I would have to look into. Yes, there's a couple of. I know the principle of Among Us. Yeah, the little coloured cartoon spacesuit characters, and someone's a murderer, and you try and work out which one it is. It's an updated version of Murder in the Dark, basically. So Yeah, and it's just I remember seeing stuff about the makers of Among Us being real dicks to Twitch streamers, and when people said you're real jerks, it's these people who made your game popular, and they were like, "Nah, it's our game." And I've seen the sales charts, like the game had been out for ages without being particularly successful. And then a couple of key Twitch streamers started playing it on the streams, and the sales of the game just skyrocketed. And I mean, it's not ambiguous. It's absolutely clear that for quite an extended period, uh, uh, the for quite an extended period, the game was not selling particularly well. The Twitch streamers started playing it, and then it became a massive bestseller. So it's shit. Yeah, Celtic King. The name is vaguely familiar, but like I said, I'm not that good at remembering things. North will rise again. What's the name of the company that produces Among Us? I don't know, but if you put that into Google, you would be able to tell me the answer. Yes, although I mean, there is also an ambiguous sort of thing to be had. Like, I get really annoyed with people who go, copyright, why can't I just use whatever song I want when I make my video? And it's like, because you don't have the right to. And it's like even if I'm not trying to make money, and it's just like, well, what would happen if, let's say, you make a video on, if you make a video on a really controversial topic, abortion, whether you're very pro or very against, and your video goes viral, and you used a soundtrack on it that you didn't have the rights to, that's a well-known musical artist song, and your controversial video goes viral and gets played millions of times, and then that song becomes directly associated with your position on abortion. Millions and millions and tens of millions of people associate that song with your position on board abortion. What if the artist behind that song either doesn't want to get involved in the debate, or their view is the direct opposite of yours, and they're going, why the fuck is my song promoting a view that's the literal opposite of mine? And you don't have the right to take someone else's work and appropriate it for your own benefit. Yes, Grasshopper, my personal opinion is also being opposed to abortion is an indefensible position. Requires superstition and belief in magic men in the sky. And it is remarkable how often the anti-abortion crowd rely on complete lies for their position. I always think, like, when you're relying on a mix of complete lies and emotive language, complete absence of logic, it doesn't seem like you've got a lot going for your argument. There are a lot of things that are just a point of view as far as I'm concerned. And I will, like economic policy, I will argue with someone about economic policy, but depending how you see things and what you place importance on, you can make a compelling argument for really divergent, economic policies. And even though you can have a very logical argument that supports one economic policy, and also a very logical argument that supports a completely incompatible economic system, because those things are dependent on your point of view. But if you rely on lies, and this also happens in arguments about economics, if you rely on lies and emotion to push why you think one economic policy is better than another, then it's just maybe your position shit. Oh, North, you did look it up. The Inner Sloth is the name of the company. They're not very, yeah, it's an indie company. Yeah, okay. Produced Among Us. I've not heard their name before. So, I'm just really quickly checking something. Well, uh, no, okay. All right, just getting my computer under control. Excuse me. Yeah, Shannon, and that thing about the copyright was probably among the least of my issues. Probably higher up is the fact I don't have the game. And I assume you have to buy the game to play it. Am I incorrect in that? It could be Among Us. And does everybody who plays it have to buy it? So Among Us on Steam, $7.50. So it's not expensive. So yeah, okay. That's probably the next most pertinent question. It's free on iPhone or tablet, but full of ads. So don't really want to run ads on it. So does every person playing the game have to buy it? That's my other question. Or can one person buy it and invite other people to play it? It being a multiplayer game, of course. I am an old man, and I don't know how these things you young people do work. It's all a mystery to me. Okay, so every person has to own the game. Okay, yeah. Well, it's kind of what I thought, but I didn't know. Didn't know what model they were using for the game. But yeah, c'est la vie, as the French definitely say in that exact pronunciation. And anyone who says otherwise is a dirty liar. Yes, guys, I think we probably could get multiple people to go along with the whole thing. This playing it, it's definitely worth exploring. Like a bit of variety. Yes. Oh, yeah. I was thinking, what did I play before? If we got everyone on an Angry Bunch, could split people up in teams and play Star Wars Family Feud. That'd be fun. Yes, but playing some games of some description is an excellent idea. Like I haven't even done 20 questions for ages, but we'll see. Maybe as we move towards the weekend, we can play some games, have some jolly old games. Why not, indeed? Always in this thing is like, is that stupid webcam gone slightly out of focus, or are my glasses dirty, or is it my imagination? It's so hard to be sure. Vexed. Very easily vexed. Okay. I will actually check and I will just fiddle with the focus on the fucking software because it's playing on my mind at the moment. Okay. Folk you. There we go. Actually, I think that's a bit better. There we go. So how's the happy South? Well, certainly in Melbourne, things are rolling along. You know, we're almost at 3 weeks of zero new cases, zero deaths. We've got just a little next Sunday before we get any change in our circumstances, along with that being the government's roadmap. And it's certainly not impossible to fault them on it, but it's a little bit hard given that the strategy worked better than sort of anyone dared hope. So just a little bit of caution for another week, and then hopefully we get a lot of restrictions relaxed. The rumors are, of course, venues will be able to have many more people in them. Still limits based on available space. More open to having large numbers of people in your house. Probably relaxing mask wearing, like there's a very strong possibility of not having to wear masks out in the open. If they're not mandated on things like public transport or closed spaces, still a good fucking idea. And I'll still be avoiding public transport like the fucking plague. But yeah, that'd be good. Yes, and Catherine, South Australia getting a 2-week lockdown. At this point, I'm quite hopeful, having a bit of faith in sort of management of things they've had in South Australia, that they will manage that. It's really scary that you go from 0 to 20 cases in one day. And obviously, if you don't take very strong action, that would get out of control very quickly. Hopefully the action they're taking would mean that in very quick order, be back down to 0 cases, control the current outbreak, and have it not spread. I feel positive that South Australia will manage that. Yes, Shannon, 2 vaccines close on the horizon. Probably that's an interesting metaphor, given that you can never reach the horizon. That's it. Angry is going to blow your mind. There are promising signs of 2, and apparently they're 2 very different styles of vaccine as well. And yeah, the whole thing is if they put, and they're not putting them on the street tomorrow, but if they put them on the street tomorrow, you wouldn't have sort of widespread vaccination completed till the second half of next year. So yeah, and yes, and Shannon, you did say that being out of control in America. The American situation looks absolutely horrific at the moment. Like just absolutely spiraling out of control. And I don't like to say it, but staring down the barrel of millions of deaths in the next 6 months because of fucking pig-headedness. Shannon, you can explain the difference if you like. Yes, I'm just aware of the fact they're quite different. One of the big differences is the first one that was mentioned is one of the ones that has to be transported at 80 below zero or something like that. And the second one that got announced as being promising doesn't have to be frozen. And God, I think I even heard the second one might even be a tablet. Anyway, I should have read more on that. I just sort of heard some basic summaries. Yes, Ines, America literally seems like it's going to be the worst case scenario. And it looks like it's by the time there's anyone in power who can try to get lockdowns happening, it'll be too late. Like they were literally, willing or no, be doing the whole herd immunity things, and with hospitals being oh no, I don't want to think about it, because the worst case scenario is very, 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 very bad. Yes, Annette, I've heard that story as well. The nurse saying having to treat people who are dying, who assert that it isn't real, is just fucking wild. Oh, nice, Stella. 4-hour nap on your day off. Excellent. That's an excellent use of time. And hello, nobody. Nice to see you all. Yeah, North, I'm not sure how much Joe Biden can do, because at this point, individual states are still saying they would resist any federal mandate for COVID controls like lockdowns and masks, etc. And, you know, Biden isn't even going to be in a position to sign an executive order, even if it was effective, and it basically won't be. But even if it could be effective, Biden won't be in a position to sign an executive order for over 2 months, and that's going to be way too fucking late. Way too fucking late. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what's going to happen. It's just shaping up to be a fucking nightmare. Just like of like biblical proportions. Just fucking. Oof. Nope. No. Am I in denial? Because I don't want to really. I mean, I've been saying it all year, but I don't want to really think about the worst case scenario in the US, because the worst case scenario is really fucking bad. That's a term that gets thrown around a bit every now and then. Worst case scenario. This is a case where a worst case scenario is particularly bad. Ugh. But hey, that's not what I named this live stream over. I'm going to sing happy birthday to Martin Scorsese, because it's his birthday. And I'm a fan of a lot of his films, actually. Yeah, some, it's a bit up and down, some of them. And depending on your personal tastes is probably going to vary, which is your favorite, but it's I know I've like mentioned Goodfella in the title. I think off the top of my head, I think Goodfellas is probably my favorite Martin Scorsese film. That's pretty good. So I just feel a movie about violent gangsters is more cheerful than the actual world is. Yeah, sadly, nobody. We don't get to pick and choose who dies. It's going to be ruthless. And as we saw in Italy in the first wave, and inexplicably in the UK, I don't think anyone's ever given a good reason why the UK's death rate was so high. Like 10% of confirmed cases in the first wave resulted in deaths, which is way too high. But yeah, when things got out of control in Italy, in the worst affected areas where the hospitals were completely overwhelmed and they just couldn't treat people, in those worst hit areas, the death toll quickly ratcheted up to 10%. But then, of course, they locked everything down and managed to bring cases down. But now they're going up again. But yes, this huge question in the US is can a too late lockdown achieve anything? North was like pissed off that Goodfellas was ripped off by the Academy Awards. No, the Academy Awards are regularly quite stupid. Okay, Shannon has a rundown on the difference of the two main vaccine contenders at the moment. Pfizer's is an RNA vaccine, needs to be kept at sub-zero temps to stop the RNA from basically replicating itself before it's injected and becomes ineffective. Other one's a targeted protein vaccine, which is another type of RNA vaccine, but prevents the RNA from self-replicating until exposed to various types of sugars in human bloodstream. Just needs to be kept cold for storage, like milk. Yes. And that's a very big difference because the one that has to be kept, at 80 below zero, logistically, that's really difficult to get out to a lot of people quickly. So logistically, that one would be very difficult to use very widely. So I think. But yes, no one fucking knows if it's going to work. How can we go so... This is what's doing my fucking head in. It's almost a whole year of this shit now, and we're still in the big unknown. We still don't know how it's going to play out. We have clearly avoided the worst, like just by a huge degree. And I think we collectively lulled ourselves into a sense of false security that we were going to dodge the worst of it. And then winter came to the Northern Hemisphere, and Europe generally and the US specifically are fucked. I think I'm going to sneeze again. Me saying things in a particular timbre resonated in my nasal cavity and make me feel like I'm going to sneeze. Yeah. So, yes, I do feel like we collectively fooled ourselves that it wasn't going to be so bad. Despite the fact we had the 1918 flu to show us exactly what happened. It's like bad, slightly under control. Everyone relaxed. Everyone celebrated. Second and even third waves were absolutely devastating. And we are replicating that and possibly worse. And it's just like, wow, this is going to take a long fucking time to recover from. On the plus side, there'll be no unemployment in America because 10% of the population is going to fucking die. Oh, God. People generally, and I think I am a little bit in denial about the worst case scenario. But Americans obviously are in denial, massive denial about the worst case scenario. I mean, again, that story of people dying and like their dying words are, how can I be dying? This isn't real. It's just like, fucking hell. Humanity, what is wrong with you? I mean, you can actually trace how we got to the stage where the concept of a basically definable notion of reality, and not even in terms of politics, just, physics and biology, stuff that, us clever little talking monkeys have been building our knowledge on for a couple hundred years, and then in a really short time, a group of influential, politically and monetarily motivated people destroyed the concept of truth. And truth has always been mutable, but to the point where you now have, the president of the United States and major media outlets saying something that is demonstrably, objectively true, having them just say not true, fake news. And it's like, fucking what? Or just making up obvious fabrications, and no amount of evidence slows them down or undermines the position that they stake out for themselves. Like, no, this is real. And it's like, it fucking isn't, and this is fucking weird to live through. That's what I'm saying. 10 years ago, I did not see this coming. I did not see this fucking weirdness coming. What are you going to do? You're just going to say, I mean, and that's the other thing. I mean, again, one of the telling things I saw, as one of my online friends said, they had to tell their teenage kid who was really understandably having trouble with how weird and fucked up the world's getting. And they sort of said to their parent, but you've had to deal with this sort of thing before and you get through it, right? And the parent who's in the 40s is like, oh no, this is fucked. There's been nothing like this. This is fucked up. Stella, we've all got to be wary of it getting out. And you're right, because WA's been COVID free for so long, I think people would probably be very relaxed. And the FIFOs would be a worry. If any state government doesn't have a plan to react really quickly and really over the top to any outbreak, they're fools. Speaking of out of control, look, it's Stacey.
How are you?
Are you going to put those headphones on, are you?
So I've got to get my sound ready, and I'm going to do that now. Here we go.
So what are you doing? Because I can't hear you. So I don't know what you're doing, because everything used to work and now you've done something and things don't work.
Yes. Can you hear me, brother?
Very poor sound quality. Well, those headphones are clearly connected, because it's making terrible fucking noise when you move them around. The microphone's rubbing on everything. Those are clearly
better now, though.
Yeah.
Brother Angry, I say hello to you, sir. And I say hello to you in the language of my forefathers, namely English.
Yes.
It's the language brought to me by many peoples across many seas, mostly the Pacific and the Atlantic. And it is one which I can converse with thee with confidence, for it is my mother tongue, and one that I am sure that you will know most of what I am saying to you. Though I don't know contextually if what I am saying to you will make any fucking sense at all. For I am, as they say, a SPAC.
Well, there's that. Yeah, there's that.
I was busily writing up one of the horror story as I was walking down the stairs today. And I'm getting better at making my computer listen to me as I type. So I talk, it types. I'm getting better at it. and I wanted to research something, and I got onto the internet and I got onto the YouTube, and I fell down the surfing hole. And I wanted to check out what's happening with SpaceX.
Yes.
And you know that Elon Musk must be just about ready to give the finger to everybody.
He's a fuckwit. He's a fuckwit.
Is he?
Elon Musk is a fuckwit.
Tell me all about that. Because
okay, Elon Musk is a privileged fucking piece of shit. His family money comes from apartheid mines in South Africa. Okay, he's bought his way into everything that he thinks declares him to be a genius. Okay, he's bought his way into. It's like people. He's Tony Stark. No, Tony Stark's actually smart. Elon Musk uses money, often other people's money, to buy other people's technology and other people's brains and use them, and then walk around as if he could fucking do anything. Like there's this thing about, in pronouncing how, he'll go to the SpaceX launch pad if something's wrong. What are you going to do, you stupid fucking prick? Write a memo? Tweet something inane? Like he keeps fucking, he's a fucking COVID denier. He is such a fucking wanker piece of shit. And he's a fucking fascist. Like he laughed about America doing a coup in Bolivia, which would get him access to the rare metals he needs for his thing, as the US installed a friendly right-wing dictator. He laughed about that, saying, we will coup wherever we want. He's a fucking maggoty piece of shit. He's fucking garbage.
That is wholly different to the information I have. Now, when I listen to you, obviously I fucking... I know that you research your information. I know that you are very stolid in your information getting and rebroadcasting. So I have no reason to deny anything you're saying. And it fascinates me that this is totally far away from the story that I understand. But I'm not saying it's a wrong thing. And it's given me a whole new avenue to check out, which I will, because that's amazing. And I was in the middle of saying that he must be just about getting ready to feel very vindicated by these achievements that everyone said, you won't do that, you won't do that, you won't do that. And he did. But you've told me that he's got apartheid gold set him up.
I think it was emeralds.
Hey?
I think it was emeralds. I think it was emerald mines in South Africa and Zimbabwe.
Yeah. I like to call it Rhodesia, but, it's just...
I think he does too. I think he's really fond of calling it Rhodesia.
I have met many, how do I put it, Western Australian farmers that came with melted down gold to set themselves up in Australia from South Africa at a certain point in history when they decided that it was best for them to liquidate their assets and go. These guys got out when Nelson Mandela was released. Not when he was in government, when he was released. Yeah. And they up-stumped and
fighting got on the wall at that point.
Yeah. They up-stumped and fucked off because the enemy had won. And a lot of the military resigned because the enemy had won. And I talked to a military/police person friend of mine about this, because we were watching this Four Corners report together. This is 1,000,000 years ago. And I said, so how does that work? I mean, really, surely everyone in the country had to have seen this coming. And he said, I'm sure they did, But remember that these guys have been taught from an early age that the government gun they've been issued is to shoot black fellas in the head because they're the enemy. They're the terrorists. They get told stories about what the terrorists do every week to keep them G'd up, to make sure that they are prepared to shoot who they're supposed to shoot. And he told me a chilling story that he was privy in the Australian Army at the time, that South Africa had been confirmed to have had nuclear weapons. And I said, yes, I heard a whisper about that. Why the hell do they need nuclear weapons? Who's coming for them? I mean, they did back then, and they do today. The Australian trick. I mean, if you want it, buy it. They're happy to sell it to you. You don't have to invade. We'll give it to you. And they said, well, it was Angola. They were always worried about Angola and their neighbours invading, and what they were going to do was nuke the borders to make an impassable line for any fucking troops. And they had apparently well and truly enough to do it. But you can't nuke preemptively other people's borders because that gets the UN coming into your country and owning you. What you can do is you can nuke your own borders, your own side of the line.
Well, technically no, but again, the UN would still come in if you started detonating nuclear weapons.
Nuclear weapons. But you are, if you are breaking your own property, you're in a lot less shit. But
I don't really see that, but yeah.
Well, if you can, all conflicts are set up on the basis of I have a clear and present threat. I am defending myself. They don't call them the Departments of War anymore. They call them the Departments of Defence. I am defending myself against the aggressor. It was just like how Germany was defending itself against Poland, the aggressor, in 1939 because the Polish blew up a railway. And that was back in the days when if you wanted to invade a country, you at least made an excuse. Whereas today, you just say they've got weapons of mass destruction and walk in. And so if you can say I am defending against the aggressor, then you delay any punishable action that comes from it. But what it basically meant, what it came down to, was they were going to nuke their own people. A lot of the Swazi, the Quasi-lands and the Black lands, the kingdoms, are up in that area, and they were going to nuke their own citizens. A lot of them black, most of them black, without a second thought. And if you're in that kind of mindset, then the idea that there were proportionally black to white in South Africa at the time when Nelson Mandela was released, it was 8-1. It was 8 black fellas to 1 white fella in South Africa. And so all of these landowners who had worked their black staff for very reasonable wages basically upstumped and fucked off. They were worried the Zimbabwe thing was going to happen, and so they all went to Western Australia, where they were given very favourable terms and live very lovely lives. I was in Western Australia doing a gig, and I was at the end of the gig. It wasn't. We weren't doing the mining towns. We were doing the farming towns. and I can't even remember the name of the place now. It was outside of Perth, 2 hours, big wheat area, and we did the gig. And traditionally, at the end of a rural gig, you do the party afterwards. And we were there, and there were a whole bunch of South African farmers there. And we had one comic who was not afraid to stir shit by any stretch of the imagination. And so he's got on to how refreshing it is that apartheid's gone now, and that the ANC has now rightfully elected themselves into power. Fuck. Fuck. I mean, I was blushing toward the end of that conversation. I had no idea the depth of feeling these people had for someone else's homeland. And these guys were angry that the thing that I had that shocked me was a couple of lines. One of the lines was, they've taken the jewel of Africa and thrown diamonds to pigs. And I just went, okay, just as long as they're not blood diamonds. And the other line that really got to me was, well, the concept that really got to me was they were really bitter because they said, yes, we saw this coming, but when we called up Britain and we called up Holland, Netherlands, to
two previous colonial powers,
the two previous colonial powers, so that we could bolt, they didn't want to know, and they were furious because they expected to be welcomed into Britain or to the Netherlands, with their, because they were spiritually still part of either the Netherlands or Britain, and they were furious that they were seen as an embarrassment on the world stage, because they were.
Yes.
And effectively, what happened was Bob Hawke, in fact, did a lot of work fucking getting Mandela released, and fucking, the Labour movement in Australia did a lot to about apartheid in South Africa. And so they, in their way, said, well, fuck, they've got to go somewhere, and if they're going to fucking dig their heels in and fucking get the guns out, that'd be no good. So fucking we'll let them come here. We've got a lot of fucking land, and they can bitch and moan about fucking black people all they fucking like on those big, long stretches of West Australian land.
Yes.
And grow as much wheat as we can sell, and fucking we can leave them out there until they get old, fat, and die. Effectively, that's what's happened. And I went to uni with you. And at that time, I was overjoyed to meet 3 South Africans. One of them was a rabbi's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She had an interesting story to tell. They had to get out of South Africa because they had books that the police, there's no secret police in South Africa, there's just the police. And they have very far-reaching powers. They had books that she, as a little girl, saw her mother collect up from the house and throw over the neighbour's fence. The police were throwing her toys around, she remembers, for hours, and she was going, Mummy, why are the police making a mess in our house? And Mummy said, because they're worried about spiders getting in. So we'll just let them do what they need to do. And the neighbour who was burning off leaves rang up, Mummy, and said, "Oh, thank you for throwing those leaves from that tree over the fence. I've burnt them with my leaves, so that you don't have to worry about that anymore. And if you've got anything else that you need to burn, I've got the fire going right now." And she said, "Actually, I have got some garbage that I need to pop around with." And she did apparently pop around with some more leaflets and things. The neighbour was very kindly. The neighbour was an ex-Wehrmacht fighter pilot, and he was 15 in 1945 when they taught him how to fly jets.
Yeah.
And he was being set up to fly suicide jets for the Germans in the last weeks of the war, and he flew jets and until in the last weeks of the war, and didn't get shot down, and basically stayed with the Wehrmacht for another 10, 15 years, and then said, the East Germans were out to get him. The West Germans fucking wanted him for war crimes, and he was gone. And the Americans said, "You joined the Nazi Party." And he said, "Yes, I was Hitler Jungen. Everyone was. You had to be."
Yeah.
And they were starting to go after guys like that. So he fucked off to South Africa and just fucked off. And apparently he was very vocal about the South African government. He was disgusted and was going to leave, but then said, "No, fuck it, I'm staying." No, fuck yes. This time I'm fucking staying, and I'm going to fucking do something different this time. And of course he was a pilot, so he got to fly all around South Africa. And this guy's life is very exciting. I'll tell you some stories when I see you. But he was burning off rubbish and helped burn off rubbish, and he got them all on board a plane that he'd hired for a day trip. And my flatmate said, as a little girl, she didn't understand why they were packing so much clothing just to go away for a day. And he flew them to Madagascar, where they got on a boat, and they went to Australia, where they were welcomed in open arms by the Sydney Synagogue. And I was living with a South African for a lot of years, and you know him. He was another theatre student along with us.
Yes, I know who you're talking about, yeah.
And he's a great bloke. Messy boy, but a great bloke. And he told me some stories as well. And he made a sjambok for me, because he said that what those shamboks used to do was fucking terrifying, and I could never really picture it. And he said, "I'll make one." And him and the long-haired, toothless drug addict that you and I know, who was also yeah, of course, who lived in that house with us. He worked leather, so they worked on this thing for 2 weeks, and they made the sjambok, and they took it out the back, and they said, "So, okay, here's a tree. It's a gum tree. Gum trees are fairly fucking resilient, as you know." And I said, "Yes." And I said, "I want to show you something." And he's got this thing over his head, swung it twice, and then flicked it back, and fucking took a chunk of wood out of this fucking gum tree with this leather whip, this leather sjambok. And he said, "Can you imagine what that would do to fucking human flesh?" And they would have these guys in lines running into crowds in Soweto and just fucking fanging it at their heads and at their knees and at their backs, and fucking tearing great swathes of fucking skin and flesh off their bones. And you know, when the blue and yellow trucks arrived with the shamboks, everyone knew to fuck off, and they did. Of course, there was nowhere to go. and it was horrible and ugly. And then I met a third South African, and he was that other South African. And I have been with the rugby player security guys a lot, and they can get pretty fucking salty. But sometimes he would open his mouth and they would go, "That's too much. You have to leave." Now, these guys were not afraid or ashamed to fucking be contrary to Indigenous Australians. They were fucking quite happy to be superior to Indigenous Australians. They were quite comfortable with that, and me and a few others were going, guys, that's not the fucking way to go. But this guy would start to talk about blacks, and they would go, "No, that's too much. That is too much. You have to leave the bar now." And he'd arc up. He'd arc up and go, "That's not fucking fair. I've done nothing wrong. I've said nothing wrong. I've only told the truth. And it's about fucking time that we got down to business and started to clear this campus of all the undesirables." And the undesirables was, of course, the communists in the blacks, the Kafirs. And unfortunately, his fucking mouth, it's a small country town. Back in those days it was. Country town, fucking news travels fast. And unfortunately, one night, the blacks caught up with him on the golf course. He fucking toned down his rhetoric after that. Because those Bathurst boys, they were fucking very, very, very straightforward with their argumenting style. You remember that. And I, to my shame, remember hearing about it and fucking laughing. I just thought, good, fuck you, and good. I am surprised to hear that about Elon Musk. I will check that out myself.
I will run you through. Okay, an easily digestible form is, God, I've got to stop using this as my source for all information, but it's the Behind the Bastards podcast.
Okay.
And because that's easily digestible because you just listen to it. Just look up his Elon Musk episodes. But the COVID denier thing all year, early in the year, and this is mostly on Twitter, so it's easily traceable. Musk said, the panic about COVID is dumb because at that point it hadn't spread very far. And he thought, and honestly, I could point, you remember the first wave where everyone was panic buying toilet paper and whatnot? That was stuff. Apparently that happened in Adelaide like yesterday when they said they were introducing all these lockdown measures. Fucking idiot people bought all the toilet paper in the supermarket. It's just like, how many times do you have to see that isn't necessary? Because
how many times do we have to do this? How many times? And do you know where that came from? That came from one Channel 7 news story.
Yeah, the first time it happened, they said, people are panic buying. And you go, okay, even if they weren't, now they are. So now I have to get some. So I have to contribute to this fucking stupidity. By sheer chance, I'd been to Costco like 2 days before that. That story went out on a Sunday. I'd been to Costco on a Saturday. And, because everything in Costco is the size of a
by the pallet. Yeah.
So I bought this fuck-off big thing of toilet paper. And apparently by Monday, Costco had no toilet paper left. And anyway, so early on, Musk said panicking about COVID was stupid. He said in March, the way things are going, there'll be no cases in America by April. That was really good. When California was introducing restrictions because the Tesla factory is in California, Musk said, "No, I'm opening the Tesla thing, and all my workers are going to go to work and whatnot." And so basically, he's a succession of times made stupid comments denying the seriousness of it, and he got back into the news this week because he's apparently got the Rona now, and he complained because they were giving, there are some fast response tests that are not very reliable.
That's right.
And he apparently had four of these fast response tests in one day, and 2 of them are negative and 2 of them are positive. And he's going, something's bogus. And people are going, well, Space Karen, the problem is those tests, what they do in speed, they give up in accuracy.
You can't.
They're not likely to produce a false positive. There is a higher risk they'll produce a false negative, though.
Actually, I'm just going to sidebar us here for a second.
Yeah.
It does fascinate me how many scientists, physicists have no fucking clue about biology or anatomy.
Yep.
Or medicine at all. And it does fascinate me how many biologists have fuck all knowledge about physics.
Yeah.
And there's a physicist called Serge Kahili King. I'll look it up. Anyway, he has just started out on this path of biological quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
They have pretty much proved that photosynthesis, I found a word. Photosynthesis is a quantum process. They did all the calculations about the efficiency of getting a photon to activate the Einstein metal effect. I'm really simplifying, okay?
Sure.
And they said for that to be, there'd have to be more sun, but that's obviously not the case. And trees have an overabundance of energy in them. They pump water faster than fire trucks, using nothing but peristalsis action in their trunks, and evaporation through the leaves. At the same time, they're getting sunlight in there. The power involved is equivalent to 3 Hemi turbo Chevy engines, right? So that's the kind of power a tree has. A big tree is pumping a lot of fluid and a lot of chemicals really fast and really hard, and they do it silently, using solar power. And what they've worked out is that there is a chaotic dance of the photon that basically is in many places at once in the leaf, or in the cellular process of the leaf, that knocks the metal into causing sugars, which causes mitochondrial effects, which cause pumps, and the light coming in hits this leaf, is in many places at once, conveniently double slitting itself, and then powers that sugar making process, and then does it all again in a split second, and it goes that all plants would do this. And it also explains why there's so many plants underwater that can actually survive, because the moment you get 50 centimeters underwater, the light has gone down to an eighth of what it is at the surface.
Yes.
So you've got no light left. It's why when you get down to the bottom of the big deep oceans, everything's white or see-through, because there's no point making color. There's nothing to see you. But if you crack rocks together, you see all these fish going oh, because they're seeing with either sonar or sound. also, they reckon that's why the lobsters make so much fucking noise. Because when you put sonar buoys in the water, you can hear this crackle, 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 and it's lobsters marching across the bottom of the ocean. And they do this in these big, long lines. These lines of kilometres long lines of lobsters grabbing onto each other and walking in a line, like, and they might be 4 or 5 or 10 abreast, but they walk on these long, long lines across the molting grounds, the feeding grounds, and the breeding grounds. And there's so many of them, and they make so much noise that predators coming down to get themselves a fair lobster can't see anything, because it's like they're throwing up a cloud of fucking disturbance. Like they're making so much fucking noise. It'd be like seeing flare guns and smoke go.
It's the lobster equivalent of chaff. They're just anti-missile technology. They're just confusing sensors.
There's so much fucking interference that it just whites out the screen, and all of the other fish avoid them because it's a pain in the ass. The orcas and the sperm whales, on the other hand, turn off their sonar when they get close to a line and just scoop and go away, which I think is brilliant. So they go, oh, okay, here it is. It's blinding, it's blinding, it's blinding. Shut my eyes. Nom, nom, nom. And, and away they go. Anywho, that was just a sidebar there. People said to me that Heath Ledger killed himself, and I said, bullshit, Heath Ledger did not kill himself. He fucked up. He's an actor, not a doctor, not a pharmacist. He was a skilled actor, but he went to New York with a cold, he went to London with a cold, he got these drugs from doctors, and the doctors said take these drugs, and the other doctors said take these drugs, and he didn't tell each doctor about the other doctor, and he took these drugs, and it killed him because he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. He wasn't apparently he was a notorious non-recreational drug user. Apparently he'd smoke a cone once every 3 months or so. Apparently he'd have a beer.
Certainly wasn't known for mad drug-fueled behaviours.
No, it wasn't him. And he had made plans to see his daughter and wife, and they were going out to do it. They'd made this plan to go and do something special. That's not a guy who's going to kill himself. Sorry, because everyone said, oh, it's the Joker curse. Oh, yeah, he went nuts and killed himself. The tragedy there was that the Olsen twin that was either with him or found him rang her fucking manager before ringing 911. That saddens me. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
All right. So, yes, I think a summary thought is Elon Musk is falling into that classic trap of someone who is successful in one area or smart in one area, making the assumption that they are automatically smart in another area, or they'll automatically be successful in another area. And that is not a logical proposition. Some people are multi-skilled. What's the term? Polymath, if you're sort of a genius in multiple things. Elon Musk is not. Elon Musk regularly says objectively stupid things and acts as if he is an expert in fields about which he knows nothing. And he's just gotten more and more Trumpy all year with just ridiculous statements about how health measures to try and restrict the spread of COVID are un-American and free America now. You know, it's just like, shut the fuck up.
Do you know who else surprised me this year? Was J.K. Rowling. When she came out with all the transphobic stuff.
Yeah, people had been calling her on it for a number of years, and in the last 12 months, she's just
Which
gotten
blew up.
really explicit.
Well, they said to Daniel Radcliffe, "Are you going to do any more Harry Potter?" And he said, "Oh, I will, as long as it's got nothing to do with J.K. Rowling." He was really very firm on it. As long as J.K. Rowling's got nothing to do with it.
The young stars, he and Emma and Rupert, all made unequivocal pro-trans statements. I don't think any of them said "fuck J.K. Rowling," but it's implicit because they all made very, very public, very explicit pro-trans statements. So,
but that shocked me. I was really shocked because she used to work for Amnesty International.
Yeah,
would work with torture victims, knows what it's like to be discriminated against because you're different. That was her job, and she basically said that was effectively what Harry Potter was about. The motto being, "There's worse things than dying, Harry," and that's the point that she wanted to get across. Yeah. And then she comes out with all this anti-trans gear, and I'm going, where did you miss? Where was the disconnect? And this is what always surprises me about people who can be very open-minded about lots of stuff, but then in some areas they just shut down. It's like, where's the disconnect?
Yeah. Huh? People have blind spots.
People have blind spots. I must have blind spots.
Yeah. I mean, but there is a thing with a goodly chunk of feminists, like lefty, progressive, if not communist feminists of our generation and older, that when you say trans, they hear drag queen and they've never liked drag queens. They think drag queens are really insulting.
I used to see that a lot. I was in fact wondering if that was not something that was playing in J.K. Rowling's narrative. I was wondering if that wasn't part of it. I don't know. I can't know.
Yeah. No, we can't know, but it's pretty common in feminists of our generation and older.
And I remember there was a big scene. There was a big scene one Mardi Gras when they'd brought a feminist poet out from San Francisco, and she tried to get into a lesbian club with a couple of trans women with her, and they said no. And she said, "What do you fucking want? They've cut it off. What more do you need? As proof that they're fucking on the home team. What do you need?" And that affected me a lot actually when I heard that. I thought actually, because I was under the impression, because I was lucky, that the rainbow flag world was all this one big happy family, and it's fucking not. It's fucking very much not.
You get gay dudes who hate lesbians and lesbians who hate gay dudes. You don't even have to go to. You don't even have to go to trans people.
How many gays are fucking misogynist as fuck?
Oh yeah, yes.
I'm always shocked when I hear it come out of their heads how misogynist they are, and I just go, "Fuck you know." I mean, I even understand a lot of gays are disgusted by and are terrified by vaginas. They freak when they have to think about it, when they have to think about what they're made of. They can't. I see them physically recoil.
Yeah.
And I get that, because I've seen lots and lots of straight men physically recoil when they find out that I smoke pork cigars. I understand the automatic horror, but you don't have to then keep going into the person, and these guys do. And it's because of these guys that then you get the lesbians who are fucking very anti-gay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Fuck those girls.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, all it would take is fucking 5 or 6 catty bitch boys to fucking have a go at you on your own, and they do like fucking ganging up. Those boys, they do like ganging up on one butch girl on her own, waiting for a girlfriend, and fucking half an hour, fucking them fucking tearing strips out of you. You'd fucking go, yep, gays are cunts. I was on a train going to visit my dome doctor, and I hadn't collected for a day or for 2 days, so I was actually hanging out pretty badly. It was a fuck up in scheduling, and I was sweating, and I was not a happy camper. And I get on the train, and there's already in fucking flight this argument going between this one old guy and these 4 young, I wouldn't say twinks, twinks, and they're fucking hurling it back and forward to each other. And I'm just fucking going, no. And I said, and I stood up and I said, come on, guys, enough, really. We've all heard it. You've made your points. Let it go now, okay, fellas?
Yeah.
And then the boys kept on at him, and he fucking every time they were at him, he was back at them. And I am sure he started it. I'm sure the old fella started it because they were very flamboyant and very loud. You know, as only young, beautiful twinks can be. They were loud and fucking annoying. And they were back in again and said, no, fellas, let it fucking go. Just fucking let it go. And I said, well, what the fuck is to you, cunt? And I've gone, listen, cunt, I did go through the fucking 80s getting beaten up, spat on, fucking arrested for you to win your rights, for you to pick on old fucking men, okay?
Yeah.
And if you want to be fucking smart about it, you're not too fucking old to put over my fucking knee, okay, cunt? He's gone, oh, well, fuck it, doesn't she have her rags on? So I fucking grabbed him by the ear, taken him to my seat, fucking put him over my knee and fucking spanked the bitch. Fucking very hard, stinging slaps. Very stinging slaps. The whole train's gone like fuck. His friends are just like fucking shocked. Then I pulled him up by his ears and sat him down and said, so fucking behave yourselves. And then I've wheeled around on him and I said, and you, I am that bloke that fucking beats up old men. You understand me? You fucking ignore them, they'll fucking ignore you. Fucking eyes forward. And feel free to get off at any station soon. Okay, cunt? And I said, don't fucking talk to me. I don't want to hear it. I'm fucking all about this morning. And so there was silence on the train. I went and sat down. And I was facing backwards. And there was these 2 women sort of the other end of the down further in the carriage, and they went like this to me. And I was getting a lot of nods from the train. I'm going, yeah, I'm vindicated. I feel good about it. And the lad I spanked fucking gave me a bit of stink eye. But it was sort of more embarrassed, and his friends were starting to fucking give it to him. And one of them even said, "You got to pay extra for that in Sydney." He was like, "Fuck off." But peace was maintained. But but the rainbow is not unified.
No one is. No one is.
And
No
no one
ethnic
is.
group
And
is.
that is something that is increasingly more of a problem than isn't. Usually, see, we've always lived in especially in Australia, we've always lived in a zone where you could disagree and it's okay. Fuck you, I don't give a shit what you think, cunt.
Yeah.
We've always had that, but more and more we need that assumption that our line of tribe runs around the continent. We
Yeah.
need that more and more because
Yeah.
we're losing it, and
Yeah.
we're starting to. We're not nearly at the place where America is, and Jesus, they are perilous now. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not. Oh, it'll never happen. No, it might.
Well, they are up
so
to the.
divided.
They're up to shootings in the streets stage of, protests by a right-wing group and a left-wing group results in shootings.
And it's
Knife edge for that tipping right over of someone just absolutely opening up on a crowd while heavily armed. At the moment, the killings have only been, 2 or 3 people at a time. It's only a matter of time till
before
it's 20, 30,
pitch
40.
battle time.
Yeah. And there are people on both sides who will take the handbrake off when that happens.
Fucking oath. And there are people on both sides who want it really badly.
Particularly on the right, there are people they call accelerationists. They believe the collapse of the United States is inevitable, and they look for opportunities to accelerate the collapse. And that means shooting cops. I mean, shooting lefties isn't going to accelerate the collapse. Having pitched battles in the streets with lefties would, but shooting cops would accelerate it. And there are all these extreme right-wing militias who currently have got the Antifa is bad thing, but their plot all along has been to kill cops.
The whole time.
So,
and the idea, when I was a younger fellow, the idea that I would hear Americans say that anti-fascist is bad would stun me. And today it's comments, it's daily. Anti-fascists are terrorists. Hang on, you spent 6 years and most of the world's money on trying to stop Hitler. Did you remember that? You have 2 days a year where you remember those guys.
Yeah. But reality doesn't matter. Truth doesn't matter. It doesn't come into it. Stuff is what you say it is, not what you can objectively prove it is.
Chris was saying that narrative is everything in America at the moment.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if facts mean shit or it's narrative. And I see my own country, and I am more and more convinced that narrative is fucking everything.
Yeah, you need a good story.
Because I see things that Uncle Rupert tells us that bear no resemblance to what's actually happening outside. Daniel Andrews is the worst cunt in the world.
They kept that up for months and it didn't stick, which is what really amazes me.
Well, the people of Victoria actually were a little bit scared because we got hit really fucking hard with the Rona really bad. People were dying a lot and we were getting a lot of infections, and they didn't say we are coming around in paddy wagons to test you where you stand. They said, listen, we're in trouble. Stay home. Wear masks outside. And they said, it's not, and people said, oh, masks are useless because it's not going to protect you. And they said, no, it's going to protect someone else. You're protecting someone else. That's what we're asking you to do.
Yeah. And that's why they were mandated, because we needed everyone to wear them.
Right. But what was lovely was Melbourne got it and said, oh, okay, I've got to protect everyone else. Oh, yeah, no, we've done that before. So there was a shred of Australia left that said, yeah, okay, you know, we do that. That's what we do. We look after one another.
Yeah.
And we did. And Andrews would come out and say, right, I've got another shitty fucking restriction. And I've got another shitty restriction. And I've got another shitty restriction.
Yeah.
And he'd keep on just getting up there and saying, yep, it's we get to lock down harder and harder and harder. And then the numbers turned around because they were going up. They were really going up.
Yeah, well, they went from like 20, 30, 40, 700 like a day.
Yeah.
And that was pretty frightening, the rate at which they went up.
And everybody, you know, who had a half a fucking brain in their dick understood that once we get to the point where the hospital systems get overwhelmed, we're screwed. And so I fucking managed to get into hospital during that time. Well done me. Didn't I feel like the most... I felt so guilty.
Taken up a bit. But, yeah.
And I said...
But you went in before it got bad. You were just kind of still there when it was getting bad.
Yeah, and I said to him, like, I feel bad. I feel so guilty. This virus. So, you know, I'm taking up a bed. And they said, you need to take up a bed. Can you tell me who the Prime Minister is? And I went, yeah, it's Tony Abbott. No. Can you tell me what the time is? Yeah, it's and I'd look outside and go, Jesus, pick it, 2:30. Yes, it's 5 o'clock, Aidsy.
Yeah.
Right. Do you know what my name is? Yeah, Lorraine. It's on my name badge. Try again. Cecilia. So you can't remember anything, and you can't read at the moment. You can't write. You can't walk. And you're having trouble speaking. So we think you deserve a bed for a little while. I can't tell you how fucking good that fucking iPad was when it turned up.
Yeah.
World fucking changed.
Thanks once more to anyone here who donated to the cause. It was of a significant improvement to this young man's life. You're all wonderful, special people.
Fucking A. And I plan, with your help, to fucking make significant improvements in my own way on back because the things that we can do now. And if you feel like, you know, the fucking GoFundMe is not closed, if you ever feel like fucking throwing some bucks in there, we do use it for equipment and stuff that we use to plow back in. You know, it's about fucking making this go. So, you know, feel free. Fucking jump on.
And, you know, just for this man to live and stuff occasionally.
And shit like that. Just stupid shit.
Just stupid shit like that.
Bloody so yes. The narrative that we were given from Uncle Rupert was Dan Andrews as Satan incarnate. But out on the streets we were seeing that people, there was a lot of signage going, please be patient when you're in this shop. Everyone's in it together and it's hard. And initially people were losing their fucking brains. There was one girl in the pharmacy I go to every day who was asked about sanitizer. And sanitizer was rare as, you know, hen's balls.
It was that period, yeah.
And she said she needed 2 bottles of sanitizer and 10 masks. And the girl said, I can sell you 3 masks, but we've got no sanitizer. Well, you've got it here. You've got it out the back for yourself. Why can't you have it here? It's just because you're young and fucking beautiful with big tits and you think you're fucking great. And, you know, this girl behind the counter, she's a fucking shop girl. She's just like, I don't have any. And this woman Karen's just fucking laying in. And by that time, the staff has fucking moved in. And the one guy staff there said, "You can leave now. You can leave." Blah, 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 blah. Don't talk. Just turn around and go. And because she's older than this guy, he has no authority over her. And other customers are going, "No, really, you can go." So even I've started to fucking move in at this point, and surround this woman, the girl, the shop girl. Basically, there's a few customers fucking elbowed their way in front of her, going, no. And we're all going, "No, just walk away. Just turn around and go." And one of the women at the front has pulled out the passport camera and gone, "Click. I did give you permission to film me. Oh, no, that's for your permanent barring. You're never to come back here again."
There's a wall where we stick these.
Well, they do. They stick them up. Behind the dispensary counter. They've got photos of people.
Yeah, lots of shops do. It's just like, this person's a fuckwit, don't serve them.
And when some dickhead comes in and some staff notices, that's you on the photo, you're banned, you're not to come in. They all close ranks, and I've seen a few people in my community. I didn't. I'm trying to get my old man to join us here.
Yes.
And he said today that I had to wear a collar and tie, and I have been wearing it, but it's not been on camera.
Right.
This has got collar and tie written on pencil. You can't see it. I've got collar and tie.
But he needs to come in. If he wants collar and tie, he needs to come in on Friday. That's formal Friday.
That's what he said. He said your boss was wearing a collar and tie. You weren't. And I was going, yes, but he's got to do his
cocktail videos. And I think I've got the themes for next week too. Do you know what Monday is? Monday's Doctor Who's birthday. It's the anniversary of the first screening of An Unearthly Child way back when. So I've got to do a Doctor Who themed cocktail, I think.
It'll have to be the anniversary of President Kennedy's assassination too, won't it?
I'm not sure what day that is. I think I would have seen if that was. I don't know that. They were JFK.
I was pretty sure that they had to run An Unearthly Child again because Kennedy got shot and no one was watching, and they said that's a bit unfair to start a whole new show in the background of the most important.
Wow,
news story
not fucking far off. Jesus Christ. Yes, 22nd was the assassination of Kennedy. So I think they moved the screening to the 23rd because it was meant to be on Wow. Yep. I see. That's how bad I am. I didn't know when JFK's assassination was, but you're actually spot on that it was the day before.
Angry, I love you so much. But it pains me when I say something and it's right and you are so surprised.
Did I sound that surprised?
Just beats my heart. I'm always gracious when you contradict me. And I just sometimes, man, it was just a bit of trivia that I
it's a good one
because this was in the time when they were asking people. Okay, these days the BBC asks Britons particularly, but anyone who has access to the BBC, to please keep copies of their programming, because some fucking genius in the 70s went through the archive tapes and started erasing them because they were going to save money by reusing tape. And they lost so much programming. It makes the archivists cry to this day. They lost original Monty Python. They lost the moon landings. They lost heaps of Doctor Who. And the Doctor Who project was an interesting one in the sense that what they had was a lot of people, because Doctor Who has always been about nerds. Even back then, there were people taping it to their very bespoke and new videotaping systems. And they were able to piece together a lot of episodes through bits and pieces and cleaning up really bad tape. But they also had people putting together 3D CGI scenes with the original scripts and selling those in to the episodes as well. And they were thinking of making, I think there were 6 episodes in all, where they were going to do them all CGI. And they were looking at getting a massive crowd effort. And it nearly went ahead, but there was some problem with the BBC bylaws about paying people for effort. And they couldn't pay thousands of people for making CG, because that's how you do it. If you're going to make a public a thing like that, is you get thousands of people to do a Dalek gun, a Dalek dome, a piece of the TARDIS, a walk cycle for the Doctor, a walk cycle for the companions. You get another person to do the shaders, you get another person to do the sets.
That's why you see thousands of names in the credits of those Marvel movies.
There's that. But they were happy to do that. But what they were going to do is they were going to point to the website where they were going to have lots of makings of and team meetings. It was going to be a really cool project actually, and it was going ahead gangbusters. But then there was all this legal hassle, so they stopped it.
But also complicated by copyright, because you only are protected by copyright if you protect it all the time. Same with trademarks. If you go, I like you, so you can breach my trademark, evil corporate multinational can go, you didn't consistently protect a trademark, we can do it. So they had to go, as you say, the rules they had to follow them, and they say, but we can't. But they have, in the last couple of years, released some animations because they had intact audio recordings. I think it was a couple of Patrick Troughton episodes. They had complete audio recordings, but not video. And so they've done animations of a couple, and they're not particularly high-end animations from what I've seen either.
No, but remember too, the picture quality back then wasn't fucking great.
There's that too,
The thing that came out of all of this though was that they found BBC was kind of stunned with what it found it could make as CG. They didn't understand that they could do a lot of things CG, and it didn't have to cost the earth. It didn't have to cost a fortune. As long as you've got green paint, you're pretty right. And you can pretty much get a lot of public goodwill and a lot of very solid, hardworking young modelers will do a pretty good fucking job for not a lot of money. And a lot of Australians actually in Wales working on too. And it was one of the things that convinced them to reboot Doctor Who was they could have Daleks and they could have Cybermen and they could have fucking planets and stars, and
Yeah.
they had contacts at NASA who said, yeah, you can have as much Hubble telescope imagery as you like. And so they it was one of the things that they said, well, this is a goer, because you can have the ships and the spaceships and the monsters and all the stuff. And as a result, we've had I don't know, and people will say, but I reckon the reboot Doctor Who, the second half, was better than the
I
first.
think anyone who says the original better is a fucking moron. It's not just it's not even fair to compare the effects, but
it's not
really that was terrible. But the scripts were nowhere near as good. The acting was nowhere near as good. The internal logic was nowhere near as good. Like, there was never a consequence for the Doctor's actions, and they brought that in the Chris Eccleston series. It's like, this is psychologically damaging, that when the Doctor shows up, people start dying. And they just brought that home. There's a cost to all and there was, there was some of the old episodes you'd get invested in the characters who died, but it was like, the Doctor never thought about them again. And they really brought that home. But you mentioned the green paint, because green screen is the traditional way. The Mandalorian TV series that Disney are doing, it's like a spaghetti western in space. It's very good. They're pioneering a new technology. They're not using green screen. They use, and it's a real breakthrough that it's all computer controlled. So when the camera's moving, the perspective in the things changes in the way it's meant to, and they've also balanced the light.
I'm sorry.
It looks real.
You started explaining that. I got some lag. So what do they use? They're not using green screen. They're using what?
No, they're using video screens. So the actor is walking through a set that's just video screens.
Yep.
But there's this mind-blowing amount of computer processing power that, it's like, okay, camera one is tracking through like that. And so the video screen knows, and it's computer generated on the screen. It changes the perspective accurately as the actor walks through it. And so the actor can see the world too. Like, it was being a green screen actor was a real skill, being able to believably react to something you couldn't even see. The director would go, just look up about now you're looking at it. And but in this one, they're walking through and they're actually seeing it, and they can react to a thing they see. And just the technology required.
And that came about because when they did Avatar, they did all that on blue screen, but they had like big iPads, video monitors, that as they walked around the set, they would walk through the CG set that was there. And so they could take the actors through and say, you're walking on a log, you're walking on grass, you're jumping off a big mountain, right? And they could show them where everything was. And so the actors could remember that, and the directors could see what angle they could be at. And because the set was already built 3D, they could actually move around inside it. Inside the thing. It was Japanese technology from anime. They would build one city, and then they would run the models around through that and get mocap. And then now everything's 4K and red dot. And you can get such amazing definition that you don't have to... excuse me a sec.
Yep. I'm going to go for the, just before signing off, for the last controversial topic. Probably won't be able to, no, probably can't see that. Allen's have announced that redacting the really racist names of a couple of their lollies, the Redskins and the Chicos. and they announced they were going to do it, but they didn't say what they were closing to. They've made the announcement: Redskins will be changed to Red Ripper, and Chicos will be changed to Cheekies, which I actually think is quite clever in terms of the marketing. And Jesus Christ, the blathering racist fucks responding with, "Oh, it's political correctness gone mad," and it's just like, I'm not racist, but I should be able to use racist epithets whenever I want. And it's like you want to. I was going to say grab them and shake them and say something to them, but I think I'd just like to grab them and shake them. But the key thing with these people, like, change the name of Redskins to Red Rippers and Chicos to Cheekies. It's like, and they up and oh my God, this is disgusting. I'm never buying them again. Okay.
Don't.
Fuck stick.
Fuck off.
Yeah, but two points. Either the name matters and you are aggressively defending the use of racist terms in the naming. So just fucking own up that you're racist fucking shit. Or when you say, oh, it's just a name, then the name doesn't matter. So it's one of the two. It's either the name matters and you're obsessed with keeping a fucking racist epithet as a name, or the name doesn't matter, so shut the fuck up, you whining racist fuckwits. I'm so fucking shit. And Kirsten, yes, I think they're actually, just from a marketing point of view, I think they're good names. I think they're quite clever because they're still reminiscent of the older names while getting rid of the racist element of the old names. So, yeah, Stella, you're right. The people who go, I buy them all the time, but I'll never buy them again. Get fucked, you don't, you didn't, and you won't change your buying habits just because of that. You're a lying fucking racist sack of shit. Fucking hate those people so much. But anyway.
I like them. I think they're fun. I think they're furry. And I like it when they get caught looking up animal porn and explaining that away, as Satan made me do it.
Mega Leech says the Red Ripper is the nickname of a Russian serial killer, Andrei Chikotilo. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
That's fucking awesome. That's fucking awesome. Can you imagine imagine the ad campaign you could have around the Red Ripper? You go away from Redskins and you go, I'm having a Red Ripper. I'm having a friend over to dinner. He's the Red Ripper.
No. Don't they have Google? Because you put Red Ripper into Google and Andrei Chikatilo comes up. Don't they have Google? I mean...
No. They have I've been unfortunately in corporate situations where they name things.
Yeah.
And they have assistants who work the computers. The fat white men who make the fucking decisions don't touch computers. And when they want to know something, they stand with one leg on the chair scratching their balls. Complaining about how women's leaders want fucking everything. Type that up for us, will you, dial? And they get Cindy to go and find out. What about this fucking American football? What's that about? And they expect a fully fucking franked fucking executive report by 3:00, and they'll sit there around a table and say, "Oh, we've got to fucking complain about fucking racism again, fucking miserable cunts. So we've got to fucking rename it. I reckon you're a little Ripper. You're a fucking Red Ripper. Yeah, it's a fucking good name. Yeah, it's a fucking good name, Taz. Yeah, it's a fucking good name, Red Ripper." And
I think it's a good name. It's unfortunate that it's a serial killer.
And she's gone, Jeff, that's a serial killer. Yeah, thanks, Cindy. We'll fucking call you when we need your fucking input.
Yeah. But there's if I was involved in a product launch or a branding of something, the first thing I'd do is put it into fucking Google for a fucking start. But second, like if it was a brand, if it was an image, if it was a logo, I'd put it on before you spend a lot of money getting it printed up. I'd put it on 4chan and Reddit and stuff with, oh my God, tell me I'm not the only one who can see this, and see what they say. Like my cousin did this logo for his band, and my
It's
God, look at it.
not your money.
Yeah.
So you don't care.
Yeah.
All you've got to do is come up with a justifiable job statement. I'm justifying my job today with this statement. That's all you've got to do. It's not your money. So you can spend millions of dollars of other people's money on a shitty name and a shitty concept and a shitty idea for it to fail. And it doesn't fucking matter, because it's not going to hurt you, and you're going to take away your 7-figure salary and fucking laugh and giggle and put it in a trust fund. This is why they don't put it in Google. This is why they don't put it through 4chan. This is why they don't put it through fucking Reddit. You and I would fucking do it because we want to see success, because we've had that bred into us since we were fucking teenagers. Fucking 90% of what you try, boys, will fall over, and 90% of that, the stuff that does get up, will fucking die on the vine. So we want success to happen, and we want to fucking give it the very, very best chance at life it possibly has. But these people who have fucking, eyes on fucking stock price and market share, they don't give a fuck what happens to the product. They call it the product. They can't even fucking bring themselves to call it what they're selling. They can't call it the drink. They can't call it the lolly. They can't call it the candy. They can't call it the fucking football. They call it the product. They don't give a shit about the quality of experience that their customers, they call them consumers, that the consumers are having. They don't give a fuck what they feel. They just give a shit that they have market share. And, you and I give a crap about fucking the experience of the customer, because the customer has to have an engaging and uplifting experience by buying what it is that we're selling. And if they don't have an engaging and uplifting experience, then we have wasted their time and our time and made the world not a better place. It's a crushing thing to be in these boardrooms when they make up these fucking names, and they don't fucking go into it, and they don't care. And that's the thing that's always so gutting, is they don't fucking care. What I'd like to do is redo executive bonus, and tie it to profit, dividend. And if there's no dividend, no bonus. If there's no profit, no bonus. Yes, but it's in my contract that I'm due a bonus. No, you didn't make any profit this year, so you don't get a fucking bonus. You get your base pay, and that's it. You want a fucking bonus, go out there and get it.
But they just cook the books. They do that all the time. They would just cook the books. Because we've seen this time in America particularly, but not solely. They run companies into the ground. The guy who in the 80s was hailed as a genius, Chainsaw Al Dunlap, because he boosted the profits of all these companies by basically cutting their staff and having no investment in the company. So for 2-3 years, the profit went up because their expenditure went down, but it was unsustainable. And by year 5, the companies went bust. These people will destroy a company to get a 1-year bonus when the company won't be there the year after because of the actions they took to
they'll get a golden parachute too.
Yeah. No, they're fucking criminals.
When they run away, they'll get a fucking golden handshake, golden parachute, and get fucking squillions of fucking dollars by destroying.
No, criminal. It's absolutely criminal. And it is also bedtime.
However,
it's bedtime.
There is a tipping point, and we've come to that place in our society now where, you know what? There's not a lot of fat in the system. Can't do that anymore. COVID's going to change a lot of shit.
I'd be willing to bet that governments and corporations take exactly the wrong lesson from COVID and actually make things worse. What it should do is get rid of casualization, get rid of insecure work, get rid of hire for contract work, get rid of the gig economy, because all of those things, besides being economically terrible in a crisis situation, are an existential threat to capitalism. That sort of evil gouging shit is actually an existential threat to capitalism. Forget people.
It's fucked up, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's an existential threat to capitalism. But they won't do it because they can't bring themselves to go, I don't want to pay people more. I don't want to have them on my books. I don't want to have to give them sickness pay. I don't want to have to give them holiday pay. I just want to, fucking farm it out and not have response. And no, fuck them. They'll take exactly the wrong lesson. And I am going to bed. But I did want to go back. I'm just going to leave you with an image. I was talking about bad design and why I would put stuff on Reddit and 4chan and just say, oh my God, my boss can't see it, but I can. Tell me you see it too. Even if I can't see anything, just to see what the worst possible thing they say is. This was from British Public Service, the Office of Government Control, OGC. And they went with this really minimalist logo design. It was just capital letters, OGC, that were touching each other. So minimalist. Nothing could go wrong. And it was on all the stationery. They had it on pens and stuff, pencils. And after they spent £1 million doing it, someone got their OGC pencil and went, and held it up. So they were seeing the logo vertically instead of horizontally. And let me show you what that, wait a sec, that was the wrong fucking button. Share my screen. This is what it looked like. OGC horizontal, OGC vertical. It's a stick man masturbating. What the fuck?
That's perfect.
That's
so perfect.
Fucking hell, man.
That is so perfect.
Oh, that was wrong. What was that? There we go.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
That is the lesson, isn't it?
That's the fucking lesson, right?
Every fucking graphic design school lesson number one.
Yeah, look at it at a different fucking angle. You turn it upside down.
You remember the wonderful Coke poster that the Australian kid did on his way out. He was being fired, and he knew he was being fired. And they said, "Do the Coke poster," and he did the he did it with a girl giving a guy a head job in the corner.
Yes, and it was out for a while before anyone spotted it, and they spent
about 2 months before they found it.
They spent millions of dollars on it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was fired for 6 weeks before they found it.
Yeah.
And he said, "What are you going to fucking do?
Fine me twice."
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Anywho, I'll leave you with that cheery little visual image and see all you fine folk another time. Take care, one and all.
Do we think you're coming back tomorrow? We don't know.
That's my plan. But, the world's fucking weird, so who knows what happens between now and tomorrow night. I hesitate to predict things.
You and me both.
Who knows? But, yeah, the plan is tomorrow night. So hopefully see you all then. Take care, everyone.